I think comedy sort of happened early on in my career when I was in New York, like pounding pavement and going on auditions. I would go to auditions for things like, Law and Order, where I'm crying and like really committed, and people would always laugh.
Really?
Yeah, I would always get laughs at my like dramatic auditions, and I was so confused by that.
Oh my God.
So I just like then started being submitted for more comedies and kind of like getting in a little bit and getting my foot in that door. And I think because with Don't Trust the Bee, that was like my big shot. So I had already been around and doing smaller parts and building up in small parts in movies. And, Breaking Bad was a really great thing for me. And I was like, this is my chance. And because I had been on so many sets already as an observer, I wanted to like just bring as much of myself and as much inventiveness as possible.
Yeah.
So I just like really, really took ownership of that part, and like how she dressed, and like I remember like being at home by myself. There was something weird in the show. I remember doing like, you're never gonna remember this. It was like a private moment where Chloe starts like hitting the television set. That's something I practiced at home.
Wow.
And like I'm gonna do it like this. Sorry. So I just would like really, I just was, fully immersed in it and went for it. And it was like, whatever it takes, like, I don't care if I look silly or I look ugly, I'll pull my dress over my head to get a laugh.
Right.
So that's kind of where I started from, and was just so committed to that.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. Commitment. I think people see the result and it looks so natural. This is in everything. And they think like, oh wow, she's just so good at that. And they go, but that's why I wanted to talk about like the work that goes into it. Even like for me, I was playing myself. I hosted the midnight show at UCB because I knew I'd have to get up and give a monologue. Just to work I hosted the New Now Next Awards on Logo that year because I wanted to see like what would be funny on me and what wouldn't. And I learned some really important stuff too, that like when people are feeling bad for you, they're not laughing. So we had to make sure that whatever we did was not sad. Because there are a couple, even at the New Now Next Awards, there were some little bits and skits where like the joke was, oh, James is such a loser, and people weren't laughing.
Right.
So it's like, oh, okay. Like I'm willing to go, like you said, like wherever to get a laugh. But if they're feeling bad, if they're feeling sorry for you, that's not funny. So it was really bad. So that's why when we made the fake James character, we made him like savantishly good at whatever he did.
Yeah.
So that we could then make him so ridiculous. Because if he was ridiculous and untalented, then it's just not.
Yeah.
Then it's just kind of
totally.
Sad. Yeah.
That could have gone either way. I really hadn't even thought of.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Kimberly just walked in. Yes.
Hey, Kimberly.
If you're going to do more episodes or a movie or some kind of reunion.
We're getting there.
I would like to know.
Kimberly has come in as a voice of the people.
Oh, good. I love it.
And
Hi, Kristen.
Hi,
Kimberly. I love you.
I love you. I was going to text you this morning with a baby question. I'll text you later.
But there's one other thing. There's one story that you told me, which I really found, I felt like was like, that's who Kristen is. When you told me that you were in New York and you'd gotten a modeling contract or something, and you're living in a model house.
Yeah.
And you looked around and you saw how long girls there typically lasted.
Mm-hmm.
And you just said, okay, I got to figure something else out.
Yeah.
Like, walk me through that process.
Yeah, so I was a teen model. I was discovered at the mall when I was 15 years old. I started going to New York when I was 16 by myself, Europe, Tokyo, places like that. And I would miss school days. I would go up to New York for the summer, and I'd be in a model's environment with the same girls for about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were gone and never came back. And there'd be a new batch of girls. And it was around then, I was 18. I was just breaking into commercials a little bit, where you could be funny and use your personality and like have something to contribute rather than just like your face. And I I realized like I didn't want to have like a backup plan. I wanted to like turn it into something, work really hard, not go party at the club and like be late or fuck up somehow. And just like got really tunnel vision, and like that clicked for me at a very young age, luckily. That doesn't always happen. It can be scary when you're 18 and you really don't know what you want to do. But that kind of clicked for me. And then I just got like really tunnel visioned, and I taught myself how to work hard.
Yeah. I feel like you've always been a hard worker though, no? I can't ever imagine you being lazy.
No, I mean, I've always been like super hyperactive, and I was able
Gotcha.
to, you know, right
To
after high
focus
school,
it.
like harness that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I just wanted to, you know, if you show up a little earlier, there's ways to like, you know, get better and better and better, even when things are slightly out of your control. I never like sat back and like, oh, I didn't get that part because like I wasn't right for it. Like, okay, I wasn't right for it, but like, what else could I do?
Yeah. You have to.
Got to. It's
You
all
have
about the
to.
hustle. You know, I was thinking that what you were saying before, the work behind it. So much of the work happens when you're not on set.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
Or
by the
when you're
time you
not
get on
shooting.
set, you got to
Yeah.
be like, you got options, you got things, you like ready to go, because that time is precious. That time is expensive.
Yeah. But even like when you have a show, like when I'm on Jessica Jones, or when you're on, you know, one of your million shows, the time you're not shooting the show,
One of my million shows.
You've had a lot of shows.
I've had more shows. I've had more shows than most. Yeah. I've been on a lot of shows.
Set, that's really when you're creating opportunities for yourself. You're getting ready, you're preparing, you're reading stuff, you're meeting people, you're writing at home. Like 70% of like what you do in this life as an actor or a freelance person, anything happens really outside of the job.
Yeah. I didn't learn that until later. I learned that like, because in my 20s, I was on an hour drama, number one on the call sheet, working like 16 hours a day.
Right.
And so then it was like, that time between action and cut was like, oh my God, this is, and also it was like turgid melodrama. So we were always crying. It was always like really, you know, by like years 5 and 6, we were just like, oh my God, this is, you know, it takes a toll emotionally.
It's hard. It's hard. That schedule is hard. And if you're young and that's your first job, you're like, oh my God, I'm being tortured. What the hell is happening? You don't know how to sustain that because you don't have the tools yet. You don't have the tools to fall back on. It's hard. Of course you felt that way. You were a kid. It was your first job, and you're also like blown into like the stratosphere of fame.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. All of it at the same time. But yeah, but after that, as I kind of re-entered the next phase of my career, then that time between action and cut became my favorite time.
Yes.
And that became my playtime. And then everything else, like you said, you prepare, you work, you experiment, you throw stuff against the wall, you fall on your face, you do whatever you do, so that when you come in for that like action, like that's game time. That's like they pay you to practice, you play for free. Kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of discipline and work that comes along with that as well. Like as an artist, you know, you have to be ready.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah.
You know, my boyfriend's a musician, so he knows at 8:30 he's going on. Or when you're on Broadway, you know you're going on at 8:30. You can like prepare all day, nurture yourself, do what you have to do. But when you're on a TV show, you have to be ready all the time. You have to be creative when someone else says so. So you have to like, you got to be on and working your ass off all day long.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can't get sick, and you can't, but I still like, I realized I still have a little bit of that like child actor trauma. I started when I was like 16, 17, but like I still have a little bit of that thing where like you can't get sick, you just gotta go. You just gotta like,
yeah.
Because there are some things in life you can call in sick for, and I just,
you can't. Yeah.
It's like been ingrained into me that like, no, you show up. You like, I mean, I've shot scenes when I was a kid, like literally throwing up into a bucket because I had the flu, like, you know, like the bucket's underneath the table in the scene, like.
Yeah.
It's just that child actor thing. We're like, sorry, kid, we're not stopping for you just because you're sick.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. Yeah. So the question to Kimberly, came in to tell me that the world wanted to know was they want to know about a reunion. They want to know about a reboot.
I mean, we got to do it. We have to figure something out.
I mean, it'd be so much. We've talked about it quite a
I know
bit. We talked about a Christmas special, a very
Yep.
bitchy Christmas would be like amazing to do. That would be so much fun.
I agree. We could do a movie. We could do a Christmas special. We could do like a short order. I feel like there's something. We've talked about it a lot over the years. Timing has been difficult because, you know, right away you were on CSI.
I was like 14 shows, and then
and then my Jessica Jones schedule was very challenging. We haven't been able to, but you know.
Yeah. Is it economics too? Is there something about the economics of like? There's something about like is it worth it for this thing who owns that for that entity to then license it to that and then pay for the outlet and like.
I think that's huge. I wonder if things would be different now. My child is learning how to yell and be funny and adorable.
Amazing.
I think now that everything is going to streaming and there's so many platforms that maybe they could probably figure that out more now than they could a couple years ago.
Yeah, right.
So we just have to get 20th to do it. 20th Century Fox, come on, bring that. And then maybe we can do it for Netflix.
I figure there's got to be an outlet that would make it worth 20th's while, right?
Let's get into that. What else do we have to do? Let's get into that. Let's make some. Let's fire off some emails.
We're all a little busy, but let's do it. I think it could. And also, we shot that show fast, man. We shot that. I stole so many things from Jeff Morton, who produced that show when I show ran my show. When I did what did Diblo do?
Oh, that's right.
We cross shot everything. We shot on like 6K, so like we could just punch in like an over could become a tight. Like I basically went to the Jeff Morton school of like how to shoot things quickly.
I mean, Jeff Morton is such a gift. I remember him like from the very beginning. He wanted to shoot 10-hour days.
Yep.
So that the actors who do hair and makeup would only work 12-hour days.
Yep. And
so we would be fresh and funny. He said all that matters is like making the jokes funny, not like where the stuff is in the background. And
lighting in the deep background isn't funny. Yeah. Although he said like give me like 75 to 80% of your talent, meaning like I don't need the full like scope of like everything you can light and how you can make it. Like give me like 75 per 80 and all of your heart. Like like and that's how you do it. And he recognized that when actors are well rested and happy,
they're funny.
And they can have a life. They're funny.
I mean, what a great job.
What a crazy concept.
But also when you're like laughing and telling jokes, I always talk about this, like when you're laughing and telling jokes and having such a great time in the scene, you're doing that in between the scenes too, because you got to keep it going.
Constantly.
So that was like so fun.
Such a fun set. And people like Ray Ford, like just cracking me up all the time. And Dreama was so strong. Dreama was like such an anchor for that show, and she was so perfect.
And Angelique Cabral,
who
I became really close friends with from that show. She was so funny in it. Our whole cast.
And Mookie, Michael Blakelock,
funny.
Eric Andre as the straight guy. That's the straight man.
You were on his show, right?
Yeah, I've done his show. Eric Andre, one of the craziest, most insane, out there, brilliant comics, playing the straight man.
Yeah.
On our show.
Yeah. So fun.
I used to love those days when I would come in, it would be just Eric and me, because we'd have like some weird ass storyline where we'd end up in our underwear staring at each other.
Right.
And like I would just get to spend the day with Eric Andre.
So fun.
It was great. What was your favorite episode?
People Magazine.
That one was a good one.
That was the best one. That was like
Mackwitch.
My favorite. I loved what I got to do and like fighting to get you on and playing like I ran this company. That was like highlight of that show for me, and really far up there with one of my favorite things out of everything I've done.
I remember shooting that stuff, and that was the day you were looking at a car lease that you were not going to get because you were going to stick with your old Prius from 1942.
Yeah, you had to ride the horse, and
that's right. I had to ride the horse.
Some line about this is hot as hellfire, or you were like trying to get the horse in trouble or fired.
Because the horse had a bigger trailer than I did.
Yeah.
there was a line in the script. I went, James on a horse, shirt, no pants. And it was funny. And then all of a sudden People Magazine called and they were like, we'd like to do it. I was like, what?
Dude.
And next thing I know, I'm on Ellen with like this like, blow up thing of me on a horse. Like sitting on a beach on this horse. And like the horse is just sitting there like just tolerating the ridiculousness that's happening.
And I remember, I think Chloe was like, James on a horse, handstand, hand over there. Like,
that was so much fun. You know what's interesting too, though, and this was a lesson that I learned, was like sometimes as we got later into it, there was a difference between what would make the crew laugh in rehearsal and what was actually right for the show. Did you feel that? Or was I the only one?
I don't remember. I'm such a ham for a laugh that like
same. Yeah.
If you can get a laugh, then it's like when you can make the crew laugh, or mostly when I can make Ninotchka laugh.
You can make Notch laugh. That's like
the bar right there.
Like a real Ninotchka laugh.
Yeah.
Like there are levels to a Ninotchka laugh, but like if you can make her like really laugh.
Yeah.
I think I've only done that like a couple times.
I know, she's one of those people that she's like the bar and
she's happy and she's jovial and she's like super supportive.
Very supportive.
Yeah. What are you guys doing? What are you doing with her? Can you talk about it or no?
Not really.
Okay.
But we do. Yeah.
Is it a comedy?
We are doing something that's happening and going and on a network, but I can't. It's not my
of course.
privilege to
Yeah.
share.
And for anybody out there, she's not being coy. Like there's a whole way these things are rolled out, and there are times at which you could speak about it, and if you leak it, then it like there's a whole lot of entities and things involved that want to make sure that it all is presented to the world in the most advantageous way. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be fun.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. I think my favorite episode was that sex tape episode.
Yeah, that was really good too.
That was just such a funny thing that like a sex tape comes out and he's so vain that he wants to reshoot a portion of it.
So ridiculous.
I remember being on the plane we were on a plane to New York.
For upfront,
for something.
or shooting.
Yeah, I think for shooting. And I remember we were both on the plane reading that script, just going back and forth. Like, have you got that? Oh, you okay? Like,
that was so fun. Like getting your scripts in your email was like
yes,
candy.
It was candy. And I've been on other shows where it's like, oh no, when you get that script. But that show especially was like, oh, I can't wait to read this. I can't wait.
Oh my god! And our table reads. Remember, we would do a table read every episode before starting shooting for the network and the studio, and
yes,
get that opportunity as performers to get those real-time laughs.
Yeah. Yeah, we were like on stage. People would be crying, like network execs crying, laughing.
Yeah.
In the front row. It was
and by the way,
yeah.
We got canceled for numbers now that are like considered giant hits.
Oh, ginormous hits. By the way, if we had streaming, so this is how long ago the show was. I remember 3 months after we had gotten canceled, when they first started counting DVR numbers.
Yeah.
The people were recording our show and then watching it later, but those numbers were not even recorded.
Yeah.
When we got canceled. People remember Notch said she went to USC and she asked everybody, has anybody seen Don't Trust to Be in Apartment 23? She said everybody's hand went up. And she said, just out of curiosity, who's watching it on a television when it's on?
0.
Everybody's hand went down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah. That would have been fun. Because I remember we were talking about James going to New York and doing a musical based on the movie that he'd written in the Bender episode. Fingered the musical.
Oh my god, yes.
And I was like, I'm gonna get to dance again. This is gonna be great.
Wait, so then okay, and then you real life went on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
I was like, by the way, your biggest fan, cheering you on.
No, you were. And then
my family too. We got like so into it. And everyone would be texting me, "Do you see James last night?" Like I could not believe how good you are at dancing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I so appreciated that. And I every time you'd post or send me a text, it really meant so much because you are not somebody who blows smoke. Like one thing I feel like you and Chloe have in common is just a complete intolerance for bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever you would text me, it meant the world. I was like, it was so cool to think of you out there watching. But yeah, I wanted to do, so I kind of always wanted to dance. And so I've been offered Dancing with the Stars for real. And I was like, wow, if you do that, it means your career's over. I can't do that. But I can do it as fake me on this show and still get to dance. And that'll be awesome. So I pitched the storyline to Notch. And I was like, what if he does it and just takes it way too seriously? And then eats a pot brownie before the live show and has a complete meltdown. She was like, yes, let's do it. And then we couldn't do pot brownies, so we changed it to mushroom tea or something.
Right.
And so I got to dance, and I got to like learn, like 20 seconds of that cha-cha or whatever I did. And then I just thought, okay, that's the end of that. And then I got to a point in life where I was like, I would really love to have an excuse to like learn how to dance and to dance in front of an audience. And then I just kind of didn't care what anybody said career-wise. I was like, I just want to do this. And I'm on a show that just got nominated for an Emmy.
Yeah.
And I just sold my next show, I think. So I'm doing it. I don't care. And it ended up being like just a release of like what my soul wanted to do. I just loved it.
Yeah.
I really loved it. And that crowd, that audience too, is unlike anything you've ever like been in front of. It's like they're there because they can't wait to see what you're gonna do, and the reaction is so immediate. Like one move, you hear like oohs and ahs and gasps. Like as a performer, to be on a stage would be like, ooh, and you hear like that many people do that at the same time. It's really kind of nothing like it.
I can't believe you didn't. Honestly, like what the fuck?
Yeah. Oh,
Cool.
I think the Dancing with the Stars people have.
Well, that was so not cool. James should have won.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was a weird moment. It was a weird moment. Tom Bergeron, the host, told me, because I had to show up for the finals the next week to support everybody. And he said, I've never seen a reaction like that. I was like, really? He goes, 28 seasons. He goes, when they said that you were leaving, he said, I've never seen anything close to that. Like, people were in the audience were like, no, like audibly saying, what? No, like there had been a mistake. And the energy went through the floor. And then the band tries to play like, dun, 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 and everybody was just like, I've never, I hope to never again experience that.
Beforehand? You didn't know in advance?
No.
That's real. Okay.
Even Tom and Aaron didn't know.
Uh-huh.
So the hosts, like they knew who was in the bottom two. And Tom, because he's like just a gent, when he's reading it, will look up at you when you're about to like be saved. Because the camera can't see that, but Tom will always like, and like nobody was looking at me the whole time. But the entire time, all the way up until, like I didn't think I was going home, even when we were in the bottom two. And then even when the first person said that they were saving Allie, my first thought was, okay, good. That's classy. Because Allie's an amazing dancer and she's great. She's a wonderful human being. Like, it shouldn't be unanimous that she go home. And then, yeah, like that, like to that degree, I was like, and then the second person, Bruno, was like, for just because of the whole season only. And I'm thinking, you could say something nice about Allie. You're sending her home. And then he said they were sending me home. None of the judges looked me in the eye.
Oh.
It was weird.
It was probably really difficult for them, especially with everything. They were probably like, fuck.
I think that was a lose-lose situation for them with the two of us and that.
Yeah.
But yeah. But anyway, it was, So now I have DWTS PTSD for real.
That's so funny. Do you have that cardboard cutout?
No, I don't. I don't know where that went. Somebody told me it ended up in a writer's office in that building, like for another show.
I mean, you should have that in your
a writer's home. It must have, like when we got canceled, it must have been left there. Because then another writer, it's a picture of me. It's a cardboard cut of me, like in some like ridiculous dance pose in like a sparkly shirt that's like cut the V-neck down to like my belly button.
I know. and I feel like I saw it somewhere also. I also want to show you, we have the same artwork.
Do we really? Oh, Colin. Oh, wow. That's so
Isn't that
cool. That's wild.
Well, you have Edgar Allan Poe back there. I don't know who this is.
Well,
but
that's Charlie Chaplin. Yeah.
Oh, Charlie. Oh, right. Maybe that's what this is supposed to be.
That's like, I think that's how Edgar Allan Poe felt on a daily basis.
That might be it.
That's Edgar Allan Poe's heart on a normal day. I also want to ask you about Jessica Jones, because I remember you being super psyched about it, and I remember seeing you on an airplane just randomly, and you were in such a happy place.
Yeah.
With just like being there, because I had been a little worried because I'd gotten that text from you. I think it was season 1 when you were just exhausted and like run ragged.
Learned a lot.
And explaining like what you're doing is the hardest job for an actor in show business. Like those hours, the physicality of it, the emotional like toll. And then I ran into, when I saw you season 2, you would like, you were in, it's come to such a peaceful place. How did you?
Yeah. So, you know, I had to figure out how to do it and how to sustain it. It was really, first season was really challenging. You know, Marvel had only done one other show before that, Daredevil season 1.
Right.
And Jessica season 1 was like right off the heels of that. Wasn't quite a well-oiled machine yet. And Jessica was in every scene. So like we were working off of the SAG turnaround for actors. So we would we would do overnights on Friday for no reason. We didn't have to be outside. It was just like a really demanding schedule that they had to then figure out how to do it to keep the crew going. You know, those hours are really hard on the crew. But it's a drama. It was dark, a lot of stunts, a lot of overnights. And it was February and it was like 9 degrees outside. And it was really difficult. But more so than that, you know, before we were talking about how you have to like be ready all the time for whenever they are going to call action. This was a character who was sexually assaulted, lost her entire family, was carrying around more grief than anyone ever should even come close to. And what I did, because what I thought I needed to do as an actor was get into that headspace and stay there. And I started to get like really depressed. Yeah. And then, you know, you can't do that for 7 months. You can do that for a movie when you're young.
But even then it's not healthy.
No, it's not healthy. But you can do it. Like when you're young too, or it's a short period of time.
You can survive it.
So you can survive anything. But this was like, so I had to figure out how to go in and out of it. But because I was doing it and I was so into it, it was like a muscle, and I got better about being able to go in and out. So that is what changed for me in being able to do it and also then be able to like still feel like myself when I went home at night. And so, I mean, honestly, that job was a dream, and it was so creatively amazing, and I loved the crew, and it did get to the point for me where it did feel like Don't Trust the Bee, where we were able to joke around. We had a great time. And, you know, I did 3 seasons of Jessica and 1 season of The Defenders, and all of that was all the same crew, same people. So that's a long time. And it was honestly, it was a dream. It was a dream job. The beginning was hard because you're creating a new thing and the pressure's on, and it's just a dark, dark, dark show. So I had to figure out for myself, like, how to act that part, but then also still take care of myself. And because I kept at it and worked hard, I got stronger and was able to do it. But yeah, season 1 to season 2 is a big difference.
Sounds like you got stronger, but you also got smarter in a way. Not to say you were dumb, but it's interesting. I've heard that a lot, and I've experienced the same thing with myself. Like when I was a younger actor, I don't know whether it's insecurity or it was just trying to prove myself, but I always felt like when there was something dark, like I had to go there. Like it was all about having to get there, right? I gotta find that darkness. I gotta find that trauma. I was like worrying about getting there. Yeah. And then later on in my career, like somebody talked to me and he was like a spiritual like guru dude. And he was like, the universe is infinite. Like you can tap into anything you want. You can channel anything. It's just a matter of doing it in a way that doesn't stick to you. And that changed everything. And I became I became such a better actor, but also so much happier and so much healthier because then it wasn't like this insecurity of like, oh, can I get there? Can I do that thing? It's like, all right, how do I do this cleanly? How do I like step in, do it, and then totally step away? And it was like the wheels got greased and just everything just started flowing from that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can't, it's not sustainable for television, those hours. But, you know, I always feel like the more
Did we freeze
prepared
again?
am I frozen?
I think we're frozen again. What happened?
Oh shit, you just froze. It
Okay.
wasn't frozen before. Maybe it'll come back.
Let's see. But
You are getting
finish your thought, and then if it doesn't come back, we'll
the more prepared I am for anything,
mm-hmm.
the more homework I've done, the more confident I am in the moment.
Yeah, totally.
So I felt like just trust that I did all my work like Saturday, Sunday, and prepping that next episode. I would prep my episode so much that I would not look at my script again until we got to the scene.
That's amazing.
That's how I was able to do it.